Yes! 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm joking, of course it's working. I'm just so fired up for this. What a podcast, what an amazing Monday to start making dreams come true, to start new adventures, or start a new podcast. This is the very first episode of Creative Spark, a brand new podcast. I'm your host, Baris, aka Be the Creator. I'm hosting daily live streams on TikTok almost every single day. And now I want to be in your ear with the audio experience to give you more value and tell you more than I can ever do with any of my videos you may have ever seen. So let's talk about it. Who is this podcast for? So this podcast is basically for digital creatives. I mean, any creatives, from a photographer, from a videographer, filming videos, the songwriters, writing lyrics, all editors editing photos and videos, and even any designers who's now selling NFTs in digital market spaces. So I'll be creating new episodes every Monday morning to give you guys inspiration so you can start your week with fresh ideas, motivation, and some bullet points from me to note down so you can check them off. I know we all like checking off stuff from our list, so we know that we're making progress in our journeys. All right, let's get something straight. Why Monday morning? You may have already guessed that I picked the Monday morning on purpose because I kind of believe that impact of psychology interactions, especially when we listen to somebody who's giving us an advice, a game plan, a guidance, and coaching, or even a dietitian giving us a diet list. So the first thing that usually comes to our mind is to tell ourselves, all right, you know what? I'm going to start doing all these things from next week. Let me just spend the next couple of days by mentally preparing myself and all that bluff. And I said, no. Like a giant no. Like there's a big chance that you will lose the level of excitement about the things that I will talk about in this podcast after a day or two if you don't actually take the time to think about them right now, if you don't take any solid action right now. So if my podcast sparks up, did you see that? Like if that podcast sparks up any ideas on your mind, I want you to take action right after it. So I want you to give you a brand new week by dropping my episodes every Monday early morning so you will have no excuses for yourself. So this was already my first advice. So don't delay your priorities. Don't let the small details and day-to-day schedules get in between you and your long-term game plan. So here's the second thing I want to achieve in this podcast, and this is pretty much the biggest one. I want Creative Spark be a platform for the community. We're gonna be here together, not a channel only for me to come here and talk. So once in every 2 weeks, I'll be hosting new creatives in the podcast, and I'll give them the mic fully, explain their process, and pass you solid advices and talk about their real experiences, so you can understand the struggle if you can relate to theirs. We for sure know that many of us probably has a lot of common struggles in our paths that we choose, and so I will invite fellow creatives in the podcast from all over the space, and hopefully we will inspire each other in the podcast with unique stories and with some tips and action plans for you guys as listeners. So before I wrap it up, this was just the episode just to talk about the podcast. So before I wrap it up, here's a little bit of me. In social media, people may recognize me as a photographer, videographer, basically the guy with the camera. You all know it. But in the big picture, I consider myself as a creative entrepreneur. What it is. I'm where the movement, action, and disruption is. Let me tell you one thing. One thing that I don't have room in my life is the fixed mindset, and in this podcast, I'll promise you that I'll keep our agenda as dynamic as the industry, the trends, and everything evolves around us. In my personal life, I'm a big believer of many things like digital evolutions, crypto technologies, NFTs, digital nomad lifestyle, and of course the power of social media, which right now connecting us. And so be sure that you will hear me talking about a lot about these things with a very excited voice. So also, one of my biggest passion is teaching others, helping people to get better, discovering new paths, unlocking their potential, awakening their hidden interests, and of course, I love building brands. Yes, I love building brands, whether it's for me or you, like as a listener right now. I'm hoping that someone listens to this and getting fired up. And with this podcast, I want to help my creative audience to become more than what they create. Yes, I want you to more than what you create. Build the name, personality, brand first. Let the others fall in love with you and your brand first, then your inputs and creations. It's a long and endless journey, and I'm so fired up to take the first step here in the Creative Spark, which will also help me to take my dreams come true by inspiring you. Alright fam, this was the very first episode just to kick things off in our journey Creative Spark, and I'm looking forward to the next episodes and meeting with much more of you over time. to make this inspirational community for creatives. And also a big shout out to Anchor that allows me to bring this podcast to you in all over those audio platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and much more. So if you guys want to see more videos and other content I'm currently creating, you can also check me out on TikTok or Instagram as Be The Creator. And until next Monday morning, keep walking on your path. Much love. Be out.